Here's problem number 13. In this particular problem, what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, what is the suitable series for this particular integral? And let's remind ourselves, of course, that the series e to the x is 1 plus x squared over 2 factorial plus x cubed over 3 factorial, etc. Well, then what does e to the negative x look like? Well, that means every odd power of this series is now negative, so it's an alternating series. What does e to the negative x minus 1 look like? Well, it means this series that we just talked about minus 1. Okay, well, that one and that one go away. So what does e to the negative x minus 1 over x look like? Well, that's going to be negative 1 plus x over 2 factorial minus x squared over 3 factorial, so on and so forth. Let's just do one more. That's squared. So this next one would be x cubed but over 4 factorial, x to the 4th but over 5 factorial, etc. All right. Now, what happens if I integrate both sides of this from 0 to 0.2? Well, if I do that, then I'm going to end up getting, negative x plus x squared, but down below I'll have an extra 2, and then x cubed, but down below I'll have an extra 3, plus x to the 4th, but down below an extra 4, minus x to the 5th, but down below 5, etc. Alright, and we're going to, this goes on forever, but we're going to evaluate this from 0 to 0.2. Well, when we put the zeros in, I know I'm getting ahead of myself to do that second. When we put the zeros in, all those turn into zeros. So now we end up with saying, well, what is this series going to end up being? It's negative 0.2 plus 0.2 squared over 4 minus 0.2 cubed over 6 times 3, 18, plus 0.2 to the 4th over 4 times 24, which is 96. Alright? I think we can already see that A is not going to be it. Also, because these terms are getting, this is our by absolute value our largest term, and we're subtracting off smaller and smaller. Both these positive numbers aren't going to be it. Alright? So let's start honing in on this a little bit more. I got negative 0.2. This term is 0.04 divided by 4. That's a positive 0.01. This term is going to be negative 0.008 divided by 18. So, and by the way, as you might see, that this value is exactly this value, but I'm going to put a little bit more onto it. Well, that's not, this value here is probably so small that it ends up not mattering. Yeah, this one ends up being more than 3 decimal places. So D is our final answer.